Hey guys! So, it's been a while. I know. And so, today is a book review, and it's going to be about Riordan's Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. Can you see that? I know it's kind of hard because it's on my Kindle. Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard by Riordan. And this is the first one called The Sword of Summer, and it's about teen Magnus Chase who finds out that the Norse gods are real and thriving. And it's a very interesting read, as someone who's read Rick Riordan's other mythology books, such as Percy Jackson, Heroes of Olympus, and the Kane Chronicles, which those were epic, and I recommend you guys read those too because they're amazing. But this one focuses more on Annabeth's cousin, who Annabeth we met in Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus. We meet her cousin Magnus, who we find out his life's been pretty hard. His mom died. He's homeless. Doesn't really get along with his mom's family. His mom's brothers, which happen to be, one of them is Annabeth's father. And the book's really just about him trying to find out about, the gods and about this whole new world that he's going to find out. And for those of you who are really big fans of Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus, a certain character does make an appearance. Of course, I'm going to already say it because everyone knows. It's Annabeth. Annabeth makes an appearance inside the book. Just for a brief time. We'll probably see her in one of the other books that comes out. This one's The Sword of Summer, the first one. The second one is The Hammer of Thor, which comes out in October, which I am completely excited for. But when I read this book, I was expecting a lot because of the fact that I've read Rick Riordan's other works, such as Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus. And one thing I really liked about this series was that Rick, he put back in the chapter titles, which those of you who are part of the Percy Jackson fandom know exactly what I'm talking about. When you read the Percy Jackson books, he has certain chapter titles that are just amazing. Like the first one in The Lightning Thief is I accidentally vaporized my pre-algebra teacher, which is awesome. And those kinds of titles for chapters comes in with Magnus. The first one is Good Morning, You're Gonna Die. Ominous. Don't know what that means for those of you who haven't read it. But I really liked how different having this first person point of view, because in Heroes of Olympus we had the third person point of view. But here in Magnus Chase, it comes back to the first person point of view that we had in the Percy Jackson books. And it was interesting to see sort of a different point of view than Percy, because while Magnus is pretty sassy as well as Percy, Magnus, he mostly just throws shade at people. It's amazing and it's hilarious. While Percy did it as more of good humor, and he wasn't trying to be mean to anyone or throw shade at them. But Magnus is not that person, which it's amazing just because he really doesn't care what he says or how it comes off to anyone. And his friends that help him along the way, Blitz and Hearthstone, I think that's how you say it, Hearthstone, they are equally sassy right back, and it's amazing. And they're creatures they're not human, first of all. Those two are not human per se, so having two characters that are not, they're not human is really refreshing, kind of, because we had Grover in Percy Jackson, who is a satyr, so he was half man, half goat. But having these two characters that are not considerably human is amazing because, I think it's kind of it goes in the diversity category. And also, speaking of the diversity category, we come across Samara. Is that how you say her name? Sam. But she is a Muslim character that Rick put in here, I'm not going to say if she has a parent that's a god, if she's just a regular human. I'm not going to say that because, spoiler, but with her, I was just blown away by the fact that Rick put in a character that was Muslim, because that's something that you don't see a lot in books, especially when it comes to books like these where people would automatically have something to say and bad to say about it if they read it. But she comes off as such a really great person and a really great character, and I really love her. And one thing that I liked too about this is that while there was romance in Percy Jackson between Percy and Annabeth, that kind of romance between main characters and other characters, that doesn't really come into play here with Magnus. So it's going to be interesting to see, because I saw in a blog post that Rick did have in mind a kind of romantic love interest for Magnus, which is going to be interesting, and it's just going to be great, and I'm so excited for it. But the fact that he put in a Muslim girl in his book is just amazing, because of course we have diversity in his other books, but especially having someone like a Muslim in his books, where if anyone in America knows that there's kind of Muslims kind of get a bad reputation in America, so having a Muslim character is amazing, and I'm so glad Rick did it. And just a quick note, I've read some stuff that basically bashes Rick Riordan's books, and they say that he doesn't have diversity in his books, which I think is pretty ridiculous, because they obviously haven't read the Kane Chronicles. A majority of the characters in the Kane Chronicles are African American. They're the main character, actually, one of them, Carter Kane, he is African American, and people say that Rick Riordan doesn't have diversity in his books. He does, There was the one with, we have, of course, Sam in Magnus Chase. We have Carter Kane and Walt Stone in the Kane Chronicles. Sorry. But if you look throughout the Percy Jackson books, there's plenty of other diverse people in there. We have Drew, who also appears in the Kane Chronicles, for those of you who didn't know. Drew Tanaka, I think that's how you say her last name. But she is Asian, as she is described. And then he also introduced Reina and Leo, who are both Latino and Latina. They're Hispanic, which was really great for me, especially for Reina, because she's Puerto Rican and I'm Puerto Rican. So it was really great to read like all the stuff that he wrote about, like the Puerto Rican culture and stuff. Like he wrote about pasteles, piña colada. There's just a lot more diversity in his books than people actually realize. They just don't read it enough to understand that there is diversity in his books. And I just really liked Magnus Chase and the difference in the book that he did kind of with this one than he did with his others, because the Kane Chronicles, some stuff was different because of the fact that they're Egyptian gods and they have a different standard when it comes to interacting with mortals with the Egyptian gods than it is with the Greek and Roman gods. But there was like a whole different dynamic here because of the fact that Norse mythology, they have first the, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the tree and it has the 9 worlds in it. And that was really interesting. It was really great to see the 9 worlds kind of come to life, and hopefully we'll get to hear a little bit more about the other worlds that we know about. And so I really recommend reading this book just because it's so amazing, and if you're like me, you'll fall in love with Magnus like immediately. It's so amazing. It's so good. I would definitely give it 4.5 stars out of 5. and I will not tell you the reason why it didn't get fully 5, but I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and it's a really great read. And if you're looking for anything to read this summer, because the summer is coming up, I would say Magnus Chase. And I'm glad that I made this video today, because today the Trials of Apollo came out, which is really cool, because we got the excerpt, of course, like I think it was 2 months ago or something. We got the excerpt from Trials of Apollo, but I get to, on my Kindle, look at a sort of like sample of the book, and the sample that I read from Trials of Apollo was a lot different, and this one was actually a lot more background on what is happening with Apollo and more of his like point of view. It's interesting, and so I wish I had the money to buy it. Hopefully I'll be able to get a job this summer and be able to buy it when I want to, and I can review that for you guys too. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more book reviews and everything related to books. I love you guys. See you later.